Hello everyone. It's been a couple days since John Kasich and Ted Cruz dropped out of the race, and we were left with Trump as the presumptive nominee to be our candidate of choice for the Republican side. And I just wanted to give a few of my thoughts on that and another topic that's come up recently as well. So I think, like a lot of Ted Cruz supporters and hashtag Never Trump people out there, there's a lot of bitterness left on the campaign trail as far as how people are feeling. And that's understandable. I mean, this campaign, especially in a primary process that broke Reagan's 11th commandment of thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican, took a new low as far as primary process go, where Republicans were really attacking each other, or supposed Republicans. And it caught a lot of people off guard, and I think a lot of people are left with hard feelings on that, myself included. So the question is, am I a bitter person now that Trump has won? No. I mean, we've been left with bad choices before as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this was the first election where I thought that for once I would get to vote for a candidate that I actually wanted. But now we're left with Hillary Clinton most likely on the left and Donald Trump on the right, with two extremely high unfavorable ratings between the two of them. And I think both parties are going to be upset with who they're left to vote with. And once again, we're going to be voting for the lesser of two evils. So I'm not a bitter person. I am upset with the results of this, but it's not like, there should be gloating on either side. I think what Trump has as the biggest challenge for him right now is, instead of facing Hillary in the fall, his biggest challenge in the meantime is uniting the Republican Party behind him, because there's a lot of people out there that refuse to vote for him and are going to either sit at home or supposedly vote for Hillary. And I can't see that. If you're a true Republican, there's a difference between sitting at home and not taking part in the election and then going and voting for someone like Hillary Clinton, who, in a previous video, I've talked about the criminal history, the scandals, and the outright danger she's put American lives into, and the American lives that we've lost to her under her care, like in the State Department with Benghazi. Trump has to unite the party. And when it comes to Ted Cruz supporters like myself, how would he do that? What would get me to change my mind to going into the voting booth, skipping over the president, and focusing on state and local officials, and instead turning me around to actually pulling the lever for him? Because that's going to be an extremely hard case to push for me, especially since I, on principle and moral values, completely disagree with it. Well, I believe it's going to come down to two things for me specifically, but I believe for all Ted Cruz supporters as well that refuse to vote for Trump. Number one, Donald Trump has to come out and say, with this list that he's supposed to release as far as Supreme Court nominees that he would put in place of Scalia and anyone that retire within the next 4 or 8 years, however long he's on there, he would have to name Ted Cruz as the first person to fill Scalia's seat in the fall, along with the list after that. I mean, it would be the list that he would be putting out there that he would have to choose from, and they would have to be all conservative, obviously. But he would also have to say on top of that that his first choice would be Ted Cruz if he accepts it. Not that Ted Cruz is part of this list and he may choose him, because I believe that's throwing it up in the wind, especially after all the hateful rhetoric that Trump threw at him over the primary season. Now, the reason for this, why I think this is very important, is because this may be a better role for Ted Cruz to fill, and a more important role than him as president. The Supreme Court seat is a lifelong term until you retire. So we could have the opportunity with a young constitutionalist like Ted Cruz to spend a lifetime of constitutional principles in this seat, instead of hoping that he does the right thing for 4 years as president or 8 years as president. 4 to 8 years as opposed to possibly 40 years of constitutional values could be something that this country absolutely necessarily needs, especially with the direction that we've been heading in. The other thing that's really important to me is that Trump goes after Hillary Clinton, that he uses the full leverage of the FBI and the State Department to investigate Hillary Clinton's Clinton Foundation for the donations that have been coming in from foreign countries and the favors that have been coming in, and the use of that foundation for political purposes, as well as her email scandals, what was sent on those emails, because now a Russian hacker has hacked into that account to see it. I think that needs to be made public as far as how top secret those emails were, because some of those were labeled SAP, which is above top secret, and labeled as special access programs. Those are so top secret that the judge in her case had to get clearance himself from the government to be able to look at those emails and judge for himself if they in fact were harmful to be on her own private server instead of through the State Department emails. The other thing that I think really needs to be released as far as details and how Clinton was involved is in regards to the Benghazi case. I really don't think that we've heard everything that there is to hear. We've heard a lot, and what is out there with the Benghazi case, the email scandal, and the Clinton Foundation all points to Hillary Clinton at least being one person that should be in prison right now. Where's the problem with this? Well, for one, if you're like me and a constitutionalist, or anyone on the right or even the left for that matter, you don't believe a word that comes out of Trump's mouth. Certainly he's right on the border situation with immigrants, that we need to not only slow the drip, but stop it completely until we figure out what's wrong with it and then get it going again. You can't empty out a flooded basement before turning off the faucet. He's also right on foreign trade and the tariffs and taxes and everything. He's absolutely right on that stuff. But the other things that he's talking about, and even the border fence getting built, I just don't trust that he's going to follow through with it. I think it's all political rhetoric to get people behind him, and he won't follow through with it, or he'll make up excuses on why it couldn't be done. Donald Trump actually donated a lot of money to the Clintons themselves and a lot of other liberal politicians, which is one of the main focuses as to why I can never trust him. Because if you're not a politician, and I can't look back at your political stances to see where you align, I have to rely on who you've donated to and their policies. And looking at, Clinton and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and people like that, these extremely liberal politicians that have radical views, I have to assume that that's where Trump's going. I can't throw my faith behind him that he's going to stick to his word. When he's donated to the Hillary Clinton campaign in the past, how can I trust that he's actively going to pursue her in investigations and prosecuting her? For that matter, how can I trust that he would actually put Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court unless he specifically says that Ted Cruz is my first choice? And unless he doesn't accept it, I will move on to this next list. It's something we have to look at. And those are two big things that would get me to actually pull the lever for Trump. And I would still be holding my nose. Because I'm actually a person that wants to see a Ted Cruz presidency. But I actually believe that a lifetime on the Supreme Court may be more beneficial to our country. The other thing that's been going on, and this is a little side topic because the primary election has been really overtaking the news feed really with everything, is apparently people on the right, or wherever it is out there in the Twitter sphere or Facebook or anything, have been getting upset with the fact that Malia Obama is going to Harvard. And I haven't seen any of my conservative friends or Republican friends posting anything about this, but I have seen a lot of my liberal friends posting about this, that how dare people attack her. And it wasn't until I started clicking on the links and seeing some of the racist behavior of these individuals and just downright demeaning things that people have said. And I absolutely agree with my liberal friends that no one should be attacking her like that. I mean, this is a kid. She never got involved in the political discussions out there like Obama, and Obama's free reign to attack on his policies and everything, just as Michelle with things like the Child Nutrition Act, which I directly saw the results of as a school board member. But let's not overreact as liberals either, because it wasn't too long ago that the children of candidates were being attacked like Sarah Palin's kids. Bristol was being attacked for not upholding her word of abstinence and getting pregnant and not being married. She was called multiple degrading names, you know? People were also attacking John McCain's daughter, Meghan McCain, for multiple issues on the right and left, because she takes that kind of almost middle of the ground stance. So everybody was attacking her. It was also back in the Bush administration that his children were being attacked. So let's not be all high and mighty on who's attacking whose children and how demeaning it is and how people are racist or anything else. Everybody's guilty of it. How about everybody just calms down? Actually, one of the funny things I saw in regards to liberals going back and forth on this issue is this discussion on the Obamas being such a great family and how her going to Harvard isn't the big issue. It's that she hasn't chosen Princeton instead. It's such an elitist conversation going back and forth between liberals. Oh gosh, these Republicans and their demeaning and racist behavior. It's not that she's going to Harvard. She should be going to Princeton. Darling, seriously, let's talk about this over tea and crumpets at the tennis courts, okay? So Malia Obama goes to Harvard and becomes another elitist Obama. Who cares at this point? Who cares where these kids go to college? I mean, at this point, it's the first Obama to leave the White House, so let's be happy about that instead. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me today and watching this video. If you're interested, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking over here. You can also check out my last video by clicking over here. In the meantime, click below to share with your friends and family and like the video. Until next time, I'm the Generation Y Conservative.